Okay, let's begin. Come to your traction bars or your dresser, whatever you're hanging from. And let's just start with some easy traction, and then we'll be going into moving the tension around with the ball, a little rolling out. So just start with a nice hang. Just see where you're at. Just see where you're at. Right when you hang, just feel the release, and then make sure that you go into a place of lifting the sternum. So the nipples are lifted while you're hanging. So I lift the sternum and then reorganize the hang. And then I can feel my legs are a little lazy, so I'm going to push my feet into the floor and forward to engage and tighten my knees. Now, if you're really tight, you might have your knees bent, and that's fine too. Once you have that tightening around the legs and the lift of the sternum, stretch and release through the whole spine again. Let that fascial drag happen below the skin. Then bend the knees if you haven't done that yet. Deepen your breath here. Keep lifting the sternum. Keep the back of your neck long. And then press down to come on up. I like to shrug my shoulders up, bend my elbows out to the side. So it's like I'm lifting my ribs out of my pelvis and moving my sternum through. And then spread down your back, spread your abdomen down the front, and then again, hang back. Sternum lifts, pelvis reaches back, press the feet forward towards the wall or whatever's in front of you. And then hang and spread the tissue down your back. And bend the knees, hang and spread a little deeper. And come on up. Lift up, elbows bend, carry your sternum through. And one more time, hang back. Sternum lifts, tail reaches, legs strong, spread the tissue in between. And bend. And swing right and swing left. So as I swing right, my left leg kind of straightens, my right knee bends. I'm hanging off the arms. You can watch if you're not sure. Keep that going. Take my ring off. It's killing me. So we're just swinging around side to side, letting the pelvis be the leader of reaching. And then come on up, press in, lift up, and then release, and just shake out. Great. Let's just leave the bar of traction. We'll just do some standing swings to keep circulating. Just inhaling up and then exhale. Stand and just relax. I'm going to turn to the side so you can just see, but we're going to be doing some forward bending. Inhale, stretch up, lift up, look up, and then take the body hovercrafting forward. We're going all the way down. The pelvis will shift, move back. If you're tight, your knees are already bent. If you haven't bent your knees yet, bend them now. Further, let your spine hang. Shift weight back into the heels and hovercraft up. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, hovercraft. Down you go. Now, once you're here, if your knees are straight, you're really still trying to drag the spine out of the pelvis by pushing the heels down, stretching the sit bones up, letting the spine drag. Same thing even if your knees are bent. If your knees aren't bent, bend them now. And then work on that piece a little bit more. Sit bones stretch toward the ceiling, back on the diagonal. Nipples pour towards the front of your mat. Now, shift your weight in your heels, but keep that pulling drag of your sternum forward and let your head hang. So you're tractioning the neck. The head is heavy, so you get traction for your neck spine. Deep in, full out. Deep in, full out. Shift right back into the heels. Navel draws back as you push your heels down to hovercraft up. One more time, inhale. Exhale, hover down. Spread and lengthen. Bend the knees. 3 breaths. Root the hips up, sit bones up. Nipples forward and hanging the head down. Exhale. 2 more breaths in and out. In and out. Make your way down to the floor. We're going to stay on the hands and the knees. You're on the floor, on your hands and your knees. Make sure that you take your hands right under your shoulder line. It's going to feel like they're closer into the body. Right under the shoulder line. And then your knees are right under your hips. You're in a perfect little square. It will feel like kind of tighter than usual. Press down firmly through the index finger, inner palm. You can always turn your hands slightly out if the wrists begin to ache early on. Let's just go into some circular movement, cat-cows lifting and then rounding. Inhale and exhale. In, out. I'm working on dragging my sternum through as I extend. Start to move a little quicker. You will not leave with the rhythm of the breath now. Stay here, take a full inhale. Exhale, round. Inhale through the nose, stay here. Exhale, stick out the tongue, breathe out the mouth. Again, in. 2 more. Exhale. Last one. Tongue way out. Feet together, knees take them wider apart, sit back into a child's pose, and then reach the palms even further forward. So it's like you're getting all this stretch and length through the side body. Let your arms really reach forward. Full inhale and just slow exhale. Slow in. Slow out. One more. Take your hands to the left. So you're going to be in this long drag through the right side of the body. You can even come up a little bit and then work on really dragging your hips away from your palms to get that length. And just breathe here. into your right lung, right back lung, armpit. Shift forward, let's go to the left side. I'm sorry, the right side. Take your hands to the right. Sit back so that you hang off your left palm. Breathing into all that tissue stretching on the left. The left lung. Shift forward, bring your hands back center. And let's just go into a little lift and rotation. So you're just gonna take the right arm up. When I do this, I don't try and keep my hips square. I let them shift to the right. I almost even take my left leg back a little bit to allow for the shift of my pelvis and rotation through my pelvis and my spine. And then I glide the arm underneath my left armpit, so I'm in rotation. Now when I'm here, my hips are kind of shifted over to the left. You can start to shift your hips toward the right. You'll feel more drag and pull through your right lat. And just breathe into it. With the whole right side open. We're in rotation, so what's happening with the lungs are rotated. You can breathe into them and let them get a ringing out. You can even push with your left palm so that you start to rotate a little further and you can allow the neck and head to rotate. And then shift back, walk your hands back center, and let's do the other side. So left arm goes up, you'll see how my pelvis goes to the left, and I allow my hips to shift, and I can even move my right knee back for more space. I'm pushing down into the floor to push up to the sky to open the chest line. And then I slide the arm underneath my right armpit. And now my hips are shifting to the right to get that rotation. It's just to create space. Once I'm there, I can start to play with shifting my hips a little more left, and then I'll get more drag in the left lat, left side waist. And you don't just push it and crank it and shorten the right side waist, you just go to where you go. The side is tighter for me, so I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go gently, use my breath to help open the rotation. You can add just pushing with the right hand a little bit, and it allows your head to possibly rotate with the rotation of the upper spine a bit more. And then come back center. We're gonna do all of that again on each side. So we're gonna take the right arm up. Remember the pelvis shifts to the right, and I even shift my left leg back. And then slide under. Work with the shift of the hips, shift them right to open up the right lat, right side waist. Deepen your breath into the right lung. Push with the left hand to allow the focus to move upward. And then shift back center. Let's do the other side, left arm up. Allow your hips to shift and allow the right leg to slide back so you can open it a rotation a little more. Dive it under. Send the hips left as you breathe into the left ribs. And push with the hand a little to help rotate into the upper spine and take the focus upward. And then come back center. And plug the hands under the shoulders again, and we're circling. We're just circling on the shoulders and the hip joints. If you need to rest your wrists, just rest. And then reverse. And then child's pose again. So this is, optional. If you're tired on your wrists and you don't feel like doing this, it's fine, but we are going to move to a down dog. Place your hands at the front of your mat, tuck your toes under, and lift your hips up. So just start by lifting your hips up, and I want you to think of traction, the traction we did on the bar. So can you find the same feeling? You bend the knees enough so that you're hanging, pushing. It becomes pushing now because we're working with pushing on the floor. The hang becomes a push, you're pushing against the floor. And then you keep working the sit bones back and up. And then you begin to straighten the legs if you can maintain all that length. By drawing the heels toward the floor, keep the sit bones reaching up as you start to activate the whole line of the leg. And then you're just going to hold into this posture, even though you're still pushing energy forward with the arms and down and back with the heels. And breathe at 3 to 5 breaths here. Be in through the nose, out through the mouth, or in through the nose, out through the nose, ujjayi. Bend your knees here when you need to. You don't have to just strain and keep them straight. Just breathe and separate. Now start to draw the navel back toward the spine and flush that energy down through the legs as you start to hover and lower the knees. And then send the hips back up. Navel roots back and down through the heels, knees, lower to the mat, and then back up. I want you to feel that you're carving the abdomen back toward the spine and back up. So we're just doing a little shifting forward, drop of the knees as we separate hips from ribs. This time you'll come all the way down. Great. So let's come all the way down now to the mat. Let's actually do our little stretching first. So we'll stay with the back leg stretch. You'll grab your strap, and you'll just lie onto your back. And we're gonna go right into the hamstring line stretch. So grab your strap, bring it around your heel arch. And just take a moment, reach to the heel. And just breathe. Relax, just move into the stretch. Start to straighten your knee entirely and flex your foot entirely so you're reaching to the heel. I want you to take the energy of your hips and root energy down through the lower part of your sacrum. So you're actively pushing the lower sacrum into the mat, and that should help drive your abdomen in and wide and flush into the back of your pelvis. As you're straightening the knee, reaching to the heel. Stretch your left leg out towards straight. If you can't get it to straight, you need to bend your right knee to get it to straight. I want you working your left leg to straight, pressing down to your inner thigh line. Notice if the right hip started to creep up, take the right hip down. It's like you externally rotate the right thigh bone a bit. Not so much the left hip starts to hike. So it's like you're almost hugging the hips down around your pubic bone. Did you find tension in your back? Relax your back down. Keep reaching through the heel and you'll be finding a nice nervy calf line stretch. Let's stay here for 3 breaths, just in this nervy calf line stretch, pressing the left inner thigh down as well. Make sure the left knee is toward the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, just deepen into the stretch. You can let sound out your mouth or just continue ujjayi. Inhale. And exhale. Eyes relax toward the brain. Wash your back tissue down your back. Last one. Bend the knee. Undo the strap. Rest your hands and just straighten your right leg out. Just soften in. Just what do you feel here? Right, the medicine after the stretch. Let's get that going on the other side. Okay, bend your knees, left foot into the strap. It's where your heel meets the arch. I'm gonna do this little creepy crawl that I sometimes do. I creep my shoulder and ribs out of my pelvis. I can kind of scoop myself out of myself. You're welcome to do that. A little traction. All right, get yourself going. Nice flex through the foot, heel reaching. Big toe ball is reaching as the pinky toe ball is peeling back. And really stretch and reach to the heel. Purposely weight the bottom of your sacrum. And do it by drawing the navel back and wide into the bowl of your pelvis. You're going to begin to stretch and straighten the right leg out. Noticing if it changes your pelvis. So accentuate tacking the left outer hip down, right outer hip down. It's like your outer hips are hugging the pubic bone. Enjoy the nervy stretch sensation. And just press that inner thigh of the right side into the mat. Right knee is toward the ceiling. Reach to the right heel. And then let's breathe. 3 breaths while we keep reaching through the left heel. Fully in. And out. Fully in. And out. Fully in. And out. Was that 3? Let's undo the leg. And then just rest in the aftermath. Stretch your legs out long in front of you, reach the heels. Take your strap and you're going to grab it with your hands and hold it wider than your shoulders and just kind of gently pull it apart. Keep reaching through your heels, reaching through your legs, and then take the arms overhead. Just hold there and just breathe. Reaching through your legs. And so my legs are not like all the way touching. They're a little bit apart, but they're kind of squeezing towards each other. They're squeezing towards each other, but not everything is touching. Reaching through your heels, the midline. Let's take 2 more breaths. Good, and then bring the arms down, relax again. Then the knees back to the right side, heel or at least the arch. Move into the stretch, reaching through the whole leg. Now you already know, you're already setting up. Outer hip, outer right hip, tack down. Outer left hip, tack down. Left inner thigh leads to bring the left leg out to straight. Reaching through both heels. Nothing is getting jammed. There's a reach to the pelvis. Then take the strap and bring it to your left hand. You might keep both hands on the strap. We're going across midline. Keep pressing down to your left inner thigh. Cross midline with your right thigh bone. And anchor your outer right hip. So you're just kind of stretching this outer hip and outer hamstring. You're not stretching your IT band here. That's actually a myth. You're stretching the tissue around it, but not your IT band. Breathe into the stretch. And then come back. Take the strap in your right hand and take your left arm out to the side. Pull the leg up and out to the right. Now this is really going to start to pull and yank on the pelvis here. So lower the leg, the right leg enough where it needs to be, where you can still keep an anchored weight on the left. It doesn't mean that it has to stay all the way down, but you're drawing energy of your abdomen over the left to anchor that hip. Yeah. And then come back center and release. Straighten the leg out, just rest. Let's do the other side. Left foot in. Reach to the big toe ball, pull the pinky toe ball edge back. Anchor the lower sacrum, and then we already start to go out, reaching the right leg out to straight. Continue to anchor your pelvis, take the strap more into the right hand. Both hands can hold, but I just can do right hand or both hands. Glide the leg across midline. And breathe into the stretch. So I've only gone so far where my hip isn't really lifted. I'm just taking the thigh bone away from the pelvis. And then just enjoying the structures that are being tugged on. Relax around your left sacrum. And then bring the leg back center, and we're going to go out to the left. Ground your right outer hip, right inner thigh bone. Relax your left side waist. And then come on up and relax. Let's take the strap one last time. Hugging the inner thigh line with the legs, flexing the feet. Grab the strap a little wider than shoulders. Take the arms overhead as you kind of keep that tension. And just breathe into that length and traction. And then just relax, let go. And you're going to make your way to grabbing your ball. And we'll put it underneath the left side, left sacrum. So we're just going to take a little moment just to roll out the glutes. And all the fascia of the glutes. And I'm just starting along my lowest part of my sacrum, almost toward my tailbone. And I'm just gonna do a little bing, bong, back and forth with the pelvis, letting the ball kind of drop and spread in. And then move a little outside of that. So just glide over to that outer hip, settle in, and then glide back in. So I'm doing a glide to the outer hip. It's like I'm smushing the tissue over to the side, and then glide back in. Rolling pin the tissue out to the left. Settle, drop, spread, and back in. Do a few more of those, rolling out to the side. Settle, and back in. And out to the side, settle. And stay there and just do little beep, bumps again. So we're right in this groove of the external rotators where they kind of move out into the thigh bone. So you're moving from your kind of like that central butt down and out on the diagonal towards your left greater trochanter or left outer hip bone. And then just move the ball up a little bit so you're on the upper outer hip, and little beat bumps again, beat bump. Just rocking back and forth laterally. Do. And then start gliding it all the way over towards the inner glutes or sacrum, and then back out to the side. Crossing over, back out. Just a few like this. And then just take the ball out and just rest. And let's go to the other side. Starting on the low sacrum toward the tail. And just little beat bumps back and forth. Boop. Kind of right above the sit bone there. And then all the way out to the lateral hip. And all the way back in. All the way out to the lateral hip. Settle. All the way back in. Again, out to the outer hip. Settle. Back in. Outer hip. Settle. And then stay there, little beat bumps again. Just kind of grinding into that groove a little bit. And then move the ball up on the outer hip. Same thing, little beat bumps there, back and forth. And then glide it all the way over. And all the way back, just like a rolling thing, gliding the tissue out. All the way in. And then smush, drag it out to the side. All the way in. Smush, drag it out. And all the way in. And we beat bop. Beat bop, beat bop, beat again. Little dance on your hips. And rest. Oh, something just popped. All right, you're going to take the ball and put it under your left scapula. So under your left shoulder blade in towards the spine. So it's in between my lower tip of my scapula, in between my scapula and spine. In between my shoulder blade and spine. And you're going to be off kilter and twisted. You can see where my ball is. It's kind of like at my armpit line or something. And we're just going to breathe there. You can take more weight off of it just by shifting your body to the right, which you can easily do. You're still going to get release. You know, don't just like be in a place that's so painful that you can't function or relax. You want to just feel that you're meeting the force of the ball with relaxation. Otherwise, there's no point. So I'm going to take some weight off my ball and just deepen my breath. I actually like this. As I take weight off the ball, like my knees go to the right, the ball is pushing up against the inner scapula, the border of my shoulder blade, which helps the tissue release because it's a hard surface meeting another hard surface. So the tissue in between can kind of smush out. And then just move it up a little bit. So I've just kind of scooted down, the ball's like moving up the scapula there. And I'm still going to relax in and let the ball kind of push my shoulder blade off to the side there. It allows the tissue in between to spread and relax. And move down a little bit more so you're more toward the top of your scapula. And move down a little bit more. And a little bit more. And just breathe there as the ball is pressing into that upper trap, that kind of big bundle of tissue. And move down a little bit more. It's right at the top. You might even want to lift your hips up to get more pressure through the ball. And then relax. Take the ball out and just notice, just relax. Isn't it? This is the song that came in my head. It's a whole new world. Doesn't it feel like that on the left? That's what it feels like after I do one side and not the other of something. Like, oh wow, that's available to me. That's available to me. That's available to us. Cool. Okay, put the ball underneath, in between your shoulder blade on the right and your spine. And I've already started to teeter to the left because we found that so helpful because it's gonna push, the ball's pushing the shoulder blade off to the right, creating a strong force against the shoulder blade bone so the tissue in between has to rest and relax. You might naturally want to deepen your breath. It might feel restricted just because of where the ball is. Just play with that, letting the breath work in. And then move down so the ball goes up. Again, unsticking your scapula, your shoulder blade from your ribs and from toward your spine. We want it to be this free moving structure. It really has to glide in this direction that the ball is taking it in order to not have neck tension and overhead ranges of movement. Does that make sense? So move down a little bit so the ball goes up. The shoulder blade has to be unstuck from the overcontraction of the rhomboids and the tissue below the scapula in order to glide outward in the way that it's doing right now with the ball's pushing the shoulder blade out to the side. And it really has to have this ease of glide in order to have overhead ranges of movement without tension in the upper traps. And move down again, letting the ball gently press into the tissue and expand that shoulder blade. And move down again. You're coming now toward the top of your upper trap, the top of your shoulder blade. You can begin to lift your hips if that feels good. Let's come down a little lower so the ball's a little higher, right at that part of your chunky part of your shoulder, and everybody gets tension in. You lift your hips so that you get a little more pressure into the ball. Move it up one more time, maybe. And then take the ball out and just rest. Let's take the arms overhead. Feet are wide. Let's do that again, actually. Take your arms down and then start to bring your arms overhead. I just want you to feel something, if you can. When you bring your arms overhead, the shoulder blades have to move out to the side at about, I don't know, whatever this angle is. See if you can feel that. What is your shoulder blade doing? You can even do one arm and hold your shoulder blade. Like when your arm's overhead, you can feel this chunk bone here. That's the lower tip of your scapula. Go ahead and bring the arm up, and that lower tip glides back into the back towards the ribs, the back ribs or the spine. And then do it again. Take the left arm overhead. You'll feel your scapula rotate and move toward the armpit or out toward the side ribs. Can you feel that? That's the glide we want. So take your arms out to the sides and do the same thing. So your arms are out to the sides, and you can start to go overhead. You might have impingement here, so they might not be able to be on the floor, but they can be floating as you go overhead, and you can feel the shoulder blades again moving on the mat below you. This time, leave them overhead, stretch your arms out. Just wanted you to feel that rhythm. Press into your feet and push the floor away so you get the drag down your spine, and then lift into your suspension bridge. Relax the tail and sacrum, and then lengthen back down. We're gonna do about 10 of these. Lift and drag, and down. So we're pushing into the feet to drag the skin down, and then lift up. The hips carry you. Push through the feet, push, reach the arms, relax around the tail and the abdomen, and then roll the spine down. Keeping the sternum lifted. Again, press to lift. Sternum lifted, roll the spine down. Press to lift, roll the spine. Push to lift, roll the spine. Notice how you're getting traction through the upper traps here too. Keep your throat clear and dance hips right, left, right, left. You can do this the rhythm I'm doing, which is a little quicker than usual, or you can slow it down for more stretch. I'm just doing it for a little bit more work around the hip joint while I'm stretching. And lengthen down. Hug the knees into the chest. Rock right and left. And either press to your side to come up or rock yourself up to seated. Most of you might sit like this with the knee slightly bent so that you're upright through the spine. I just don't want you sitting like this and it pulling you back behind your hips. So I want you here where you can feel ease right up on your sit bones. You just have your hands in front of you. We're going forward. We're not going back to go forward. We're going hovercraft up. I'm going to just straighten my legs so you can see. I'm going up to go over. And then back up. We've done a lot of lengthening, traction, and even back bending, so go slow. Up and over, we're going in a new direction. Flexion, and then back up. So again, if your knees are bent, it looks like this. That even feels better for me right now. Why don't we all just do bent knees? Join the bent knee party. Because what happens is you have a freedom of flexion in the spine this way without putting everything on the stretch, which can be a little compressive. So just come up and over, and it's like you're pouring up and over. It's like a child's pose, let your belly hang in between your thighs. And then come back up. So I want you to feel like this tidal wave of strength. The abdomen is pulling back as you come forward. To come up, your abdomen pulls back and brings you upright. You with me? And abdomen pulls back to sway you up and over. And back up. 3 more. Exhale, inhale, doesn't matter. One more. And then just stretch your legs out wide. If you're falling back, sit up on many blankets. And we're just gonna rock right and left. So I'm bending my left knee and then my right knee. And my left and my right. My left and my right. Just loosening up the pelvis just to be able to even sit here. And then stay sitting tall. Again, you're up on something if you're being pulled back. And we're just gonna hinge forward. This is a little different than what we just did. Instead of hovercraft rounding, we're actually spilling the pelvis forward and hinging out on our hips, which we really worked on last time in class, that feeling of hinge. Same thing here. So if you're tight, you might go a millimeter. It does not matter how far you go. What matters is that rooting down of the pelvis, out to the front of the head, that length. And then you'll just feel a little stretchy poo. Yeah. Soles of the feet together. Now we're going to combine the 2 spinal movements. Grab onto your feet, your toes, whatever gives you a little leverage. Press the soles of the feet together. Knees are spreading wide. You're going to lift up. So I want you to feel the grounding of your hips, the energy of your spine rising upwards, up behind your eyes, energy off the crown. You're going to teeter wherever you can teeter to. And then there, at a certain point, in order to keep going forward, you keep this feeling of teetering, but naturally the spine does come into flexion, it does round. Which you're allowed to do as long as you keep pulling the feet towards your pubic bone to get the length, to keep the length of the spine as you begin to round. Notice I'm not doing this. Rounding in my rib shoulder and keeping my ribs in the same place and just letting the spine do its thing, which is hard to differentiate because the ribs are attached to the spine. But do your best and then breathe here. And then come on up. Lean back, stretch your legs out, and just jiggle them. then just sit. Let's do a little bit of this gyro movement and sitting. So I'm cross-legged. You can be sitting on a chair, you can be sitting on the floor. I want to be really clear. Your sacrum and pelvis go with the movement. You're not smashing your pelvis still and rotating above that. You're allowing this shift of the pelvis, And that translates all the way up through the spine, up through the crown. So this is just kind of like a washing out, of finishing up. Keep that going. Rest. Bring the fingertips to the front shoulder, thumbs behind the shoulder, shoulders and elbows wide. It's inhale to the left, exhale to the right, all through the nose. Inhale to center. Hold the breath. Close off at the perineum, pull energy all the way behind the eyes. Close everything off, tighten all the way up behind the eyes. Exhale, release everything. One round of Kapalabhati. This is all through the nose. The accent is on the exhale. The inhale just naturally comes in. I'm going to start the cycle. You can watch me to start or just join with me if you know what you're doing. We'll do about 50. We inhale halfway and begin. Inhale, arms up, lift up. Hold your breath. Exhale, release down. Let your eyes relax toward your brain. Let your brain feel soft behind your eyes. And let the softness of your brain wash down the brain stem into the spinal column, down into the sacrum, spilling into the front of the sacrum. through the pelvis and through the nerves and tissue of the legs. This is a wonderful time to move into meditation. I'll see you soon.